You're listening to The Litter Box, a Detroit Tigers podcast, with your hosts, Chet West and Bill Patterson.
Detroit Tiger fans and Litter Box listeners, it's your hosts, Billy P. and Chet, and we have more exciting news about your Detroit Tigers. We sit in the catbird seat. The Tigers are now in a commanding position with this division. All of a sudden, other teams are starting to get cold. They are now 11.5 games up on the Royals, 12.5 games up on the Guardians. But really, folks, that's not what's important. What's important is what Chet ate yesterday. And so, Chet, I need you to tell us about this hot dog that you sent to me. It was a glorious photo, and it looked to be a hot mess. And I really would like some dissection, as detailed and as graphic as you can be, because this dog, whew,
I'm going to give you nothing less.
Of course not.
Than detailed and graphic.
I appreciate that. That's why we're here.
I'll set the scene for you. How
Please.
many over 50 baseball games have you been to? And what I mean by this is these are baseball leagues that the requirement of the players in the league is they're over 50.
So can I tell you the last time that I played hardball?
Sure.
Was when I was one of the assistant coaches for Grady when that's my son. He's 17 now. He was 8 at the time. And the dads all decided to have like a charity type event from competing teams in the league. I considered myself beyond fortunate because I was one of, I think, 6 dads that played in that, of let's say 20, that didn't leave the game with some type of gimp, hobble, or tennis elbow or whatever. It was a comedy of errors. And so, no, I have not experienced this. Please enlighten us and the listeners on what an over 50 hardball game looks like.
So throughout the landscape of this great state of Minnesota, we have a lot of what are like town ballparks. And these are really nice ballparks. I mean, some of them look like kind of very small scaled down minor league ballparks. Ads on the outfield fences, maybe ivy on the outfield fences. And they have a press box above with some small seating around. We went out to one yesterday in Prior Lake that was a very nice ballpark. So that was my first, I walk in and I'm like, wow, they get to play at a really cool ballpark. There's a great little setting here. We sat in what were basically box seats down the first baseline.
Why were you here? Did you know somebody or just professional interest?
My brother-in-law, this is what I was getting to. My brother-in-law, who is 48 years old, he is the one exception on his team of over 50 players. You get one player below 50.
So he's a ringer?
Look, David played college ball. Most of these guys he's out there playing with on these teams played some form of college ball. I wouldn't be shocked if some of them got up to possibly playing some sort of pro level, independent league, minor league type thing. A lot of them coach youth baseball somewhere along the lines, but they're over 50. And so I thought I was going to be going out and seeing this gaggle of like over 50-year-old men who are going to make me feel awful about myself physically. And and a couple of them are in great shape. Don't get me wrong. The bulk of them, they're over 50. We'll just say that. Okay. It was a little, you forget they're baseball players. They're not track stars. They're not, as John Kruk once said, I'm not an athlete. I'm a ball player. I'm a baseball player. So a lot of them have been, living life and eating and drinking what they please. And so you get a mixed bag, and you can tell everybody in their heyday probably had some great skills. I have no doubt. And I will tell you right now, I would have been a mess in this. People would have probably booed me off the field, which I think kind of against the spirit of the deal.
Would you have pulled a hammy?
Easily. I mean, for instance, they have a rule. Any ball that leaves the infield and gets in the outfield, fair play, you get first base automatically. So you don't have to dig anything out. Okay. So that's the first rule that's kind of like curtailed. They don't want anybody tearing anything, Bill. Okay. But
smart,
man, there were a few plays. I mean, they had a couple plays at second where guys are sliding into second and they're throwing down to second. You got collisions at second base. The fun plays are like when you get somebody hits some squibber or tapper and the pitcher has to use some cat-like instincts to get over and field the ball, but as they're bending down, they topple over and fall on their face instead of fielding the ball. But the great part is that the guy running from home to first is only halfway at that point, so you can still throw him out. It's crazy.
Do they have uniforms and sponsors?
Full uniforms, sponsorships.
Do they wear belts, or is it more elastic?
There's stirrups. There's full baseball pants, belts, jerseys.
Okay, but it's not the elastic waistband that we had in the late 70s, early 80s.
No, I don't believe so. No.
God,
these were some legitimate. They're all gussied up and ready to play ball. And some of these guys have some great talent. They got a guy on, I think, my brother-in-law's team that throws 70. So most of them were not throwing that hard. I sort of say, they don't throw that hard. My brother-in-law still has a great stroke, always been a good hitter, can put a charge in the ball if he wants to. But as we're sitting there cheering along and, everybody's kind of having a good giggle over this whole thing, and there aren't a ton of fans. I mean, we had a group of family that went out to support him and watch his team play yesterday, and it was great entertainment. They have a concession stand, and you and I have this passion for ballpark food and making sure that we dip into the local flavor, give a little review. I went up to the concession stand, and lo and behold, there was a menu at the bottom. There were hot dog. There was pulled pork sandwich. They had an item at the bottom called a pulled wiener. I'm not making up the name of that, and it is on the menu. It was a hot dog covered in pulled pork. So the pulled pork was a topping, and I felt inclined to buy one of these things. For $4, I may go back next Sunday, even if my brother-in-law is not playing, and get one of these things. I mean, the cheap. This is a cheap lunch.
I believe that's like $36 less than the boomstick.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean,
was it heavy? I mean,
it wasn't.
Are we talking like a quarter-pound dog or like a regular hot dog?
Garden variety regular hot dog. They're not going crazy. Okay. Garden variety regular hot dog, but with the pulled pork on top, made a nice addition. I scarfed it down, Bill, and I will go back for that pulled pork. If I'm in Prior Lake on a weekend and I know this league is still in session, I am going back for a pulled wiener. I think it's probably, if you're in town, you're near the ballpark, go grab one. I was talking to the guy behind the desk, and I think he runs the concessions, and his wife probably makes these things. He's like, Crystal's got one of the best pulled wieners in the area. I was kind of just had a giggle. I mean, that was one of the best interactions ever. I could not buy one at that point. And it was a great experience. It was a cool little day out, kind of a different way to see baseball. But I sat there eating this thing. And I was like, I got to review this on the pod. I mean, it's not the Cell. It's not Guaranteed Rate. It's not Wrigley. It's not the Target Field, but it was an experience nonetheless.
So it's a regular hot dog. Let's call it like 1/8 of a pound. That's what most store-bought hot dogs are.
It's about 1/8 of a pound. Yeah.
Okay. And the bun, was it like a steamed bun?
No, not like a steamed bun.
This was just kind of white bread?
Just a Wonder Bread hot dog bun.
Okay.
With your 1/8 pound dog in the middle.
Grilled, steamed, or boiled?
I believe they were steamed.
Okay.
I believe they were steamed. I'll be honest, the production aspect of this food was not out in the open.
Well,
the concession stand didn't really have the space for that. So I think some things were happening in the back room. There's a lot of trust. There's a lot of trust put into it.
Well, when you're paying $40 for a boomstick, you expect to see it assembled behind glass.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I mentioned, they do that at both Texas Rangers parks, the past and the present. But let's get to really important. So then they top this dog with pulled pork. Is there barbecue sauce added?
There's
mustard?
Nothing added, and it's kind of the beauty of it because you know me and my plain Janes.
So two simple meats melding together.
Just two simple meats laying in a bun, coexisting. And what I did was I put some mustard on it because I felt like I needed to have a little something in there. I was a little afraid it was going to be kind of dry, to be honest with you. I didn't know where it came. It came from the back room of the concession stand, okay? I didn't want to take the gamble of it being a little too dry and then having to go back and dress it up in front of the guy and then, insult his pulled wiener. So I ended up getting some mustard and kind of putting some on there. And it was lovely. It made for a wonderful addition. I think maybe some barbecue sauce would have been better. And I almost went back, got a second one and got the barbecue sauce for it, but I did not do that.
So do they have like a topping stand at this park, or is it?
They do.
Okay, so you didn't have to get like the individual
E6.
packets of mustards?
No.
Okay,
No.
because can I be very, very frank
Yes.
while we're talking about
Yeah.
Franks?
Yeah.
I went to Wrigley the other day, and I'm adding to your story.
Yeah. No, please.
And I ordered one of your steamed dogs,
Yeah.
and it was delicious.
Yep.
But what my annoyance was that the vendor asked,
I know.
do you want ketchup? Do you want mustard? Do you want relish?
Mhm.
And by the time he grabbed 3 napkins for me and
all the
mustard
sides
and
all the
relish,
things. Yep.
and he gave me ketchup, even though I
Yeah.
would never put it on a hot dog. And that's not the Chicago in me. I just don't care for
get it.
ketchup on a hot
I
dog.
get it.
The whole process just seemed a little too jumbled for my preferences. It wasn't seamless, and what it makes me do is appreciate the old Tiger Stadium and the fact that there was only one choice. You could either get a steamed ballpark wiener out of it in its nicely steamed bun, melding all together,
Yeah.
or that large tongue dispenser. I don't know what else to call it. Like you'd
Yep.
see at the doctor's office back in the day. They would dip that in a
Yeah.
huge vat of yellow mustard and slather your dog, and that was it. You had 2 choices. And I think that we as a society may have gotten too many offerings going.
We have too many choices.
However, I do not think the dog you had fits the bill of too many choices. I also want to try this dog next time I come see you all.
It was an adventure. And, the day in general, it was an adventure. I'd never been to one of these events before. And I saw that on the menu and I said, we got to try something different here. And he was kind of pushing it. He wasn't pushing it, but he kind of had that look in his eyes like, you're going to like this.
Trust me, it's good. I would like to try it with barbecue sauce and pickles, perhaps.
If I had to do it
don't
again,
ask
I
me
would.
why.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not going to...
They had some relish in a squeeze bottle out there, and I almost went for that, but I was, I don't know.
Because relish is usually sweet, where I feel like what this might need, barbecue sauce usually sweetens things because of the brown sugar, the molasses.
Sure.
It's somewhat tomato ketchup based.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of mustard in it, but not usually a whole lot. A little bit of vinegar. But what you want is the saltiness to balance that sweetness out. And that's where I'm thinking like just a simple dill pickle chip, either crinkled or even like McDonald's does the clean cut ones.
Something like the sandwich dills or something that are kind of sliced.
Yeah.
That would have been lovely. I think in the end, I would go barbecue sauce and maybe throw a pickle on there if it was offered. Maybe if you're listening out there, guy in the concession stand at Prior Lake Stadium, you'll do that next time. Just a tip from the Litter Box podcast to you. At any rate, that's all I've got on that. I wanted to open that up to the group and give that food experience.
Fantastic.
And it was, by the way, there was no after effect either. I was a little afraid because I couldn't see the prep. I don't know if you're like this, but I always wonder where my food's coming from. Didn't bother me. It was fine. Everything worked out well.
You do not seem like a man that would be as concerned as he should be with
I'm
where your food's coming from.
extremely concerned, actually. It's a weird thing. I don't do potlucks. We should do an episode on potlucks. I don't do potlucks. I don't know who's made, I don't know the level of cleanliness that person has taken to make their, onion bake or whatever the heck they're bringing to the potluck. I don't know what they're doing in their kitchen before that gets to the show, to the potluck.
Okay, so here's the 2 things that are just jumping out at me.
Yeah.
One, potluck seems to be somewhat of an archaic term, except for in the Twin Cities where you are.
We do them all the time here.
And isn't there something like Sunday dish or something like that?
It's the Sunday dish.
Or there's
hot
a name,
dish.
hot dish.
Hot
That's
dish.
what it is. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a potato creation of sorts. We should do this. Let's do this on another show. We could go on for another 20 minutes on hot dish. Honestly, it is a tradition around here. And I think there's probably space for this on another show. If you guys want to hear more about hot dish, let us know in the comments. We'll break out a whole hot dish deal. Maybe the next time we play the Twins. Do we have another series this season, Bill?
We'll
I don't
save
think we
it.
do.
Why don't we save it for the sister podcast when we play the Vikings?
Because hot dish is also more of a football food.
cold
so if
weather.
you're over there listening to the Litter Box, a Detroit Lions podcast, you may get hot dish reviews for your Vikings weekend.
Well, hot dish also doesn't reek summer to me or spell summer.
it doesn't.
You're thinking cold macaroni
No.
salad, food off the grill, potato
hot dish
salad.
is a warm blanket. It's not. It's to warm you up on a November, December, January day. It is not something you're eating in July. You will get the sweats in a bad way from that.
Okay.
Let's do it for the Viking show. Let's book that. That's going to happen for the Vikings show for the football pod.
So back to Tigers news.
Yeah.
We had a call up, and he was a very, very intriguing young man, and still is an intriguing young man by the name of Drew Summers. He's a relief pitcher that came up and pitched, and he is listed at 6'5", 250 pounds. I am going to guess that one of those might not be correct, but maybe they are. But he is a large man that throws a small ball really, really hard. And what were your initial thoughts on our newest call-up to our Detroit Tigers?
Well, a sizable offering on the mound, first and foremost. Drew Summers is going to stay up with the team, the big club.
Yeah, I do, only because the rosters are expanding, so I think it's a pretty safe call. His initial outing, he throws hard, he throws fast. The control wasn't all there.
Yeah.
However, he offers two things that I think are extremely valuable to this pen. One is that he's a lefty, and two, when his location's good, he's a swing and miss guy. Being a lefty that's a swing and miss guy are two things that are sorely needed in this bullpen. So I definitely see a slot for him coming forward, and I'm
willing to give him more opportunities. I'm not saying we wouldn't. I mean, at this point with our bullpen, why not? He got a third of an inning, 2 walks over 16 pitches. Not the best showing for him, like you said, but what do you do? I mean, maybe he brings a little fire down the stretch. Seems to be a sinker slider guy. Pairs those two pitches.
At this point, anything that offers any type of diversity to our bullpen, meaning it's so right-handed dependent and there are so few swing and miss guys outside of Will Vest that I will take whatever we can get at this point. And I think you would probably back me up on that.
Yeah, he came on for Mize in that first game. They won 7-5. Do you think Casey Mize is required to just give up 3 runs every game?
Yes.
It's just such an odd stat line. I would like to go back and look at every game he's pitched and see how many of them he's given up 3 runs over 5.2 or 5 1/3. Seems to get into the 6th. He gives 3 runs up. They yank him. I'm not saying it's good or bad. He doesn't strike out a bunch of guys. I'm more or less it just seems odd to me. He's a 3-run game guy. Like, that's what you're going to get out of him. I'll take it, actually, considering the rest of our starting staff.
Yeah, going back to the lefty versus righty, outside of Skubal, who's a starter, Summers and Holton are the only 2 lefties we have on the rest of the roster, which is a little unnerving as we approach playoff time. Let's talk about the good news. The Tigers have taken yet another series against the Royals. They've already won 2 out of 3. Right now, the game is currently 10-7 Royals. They just scored again.
Saw that.
Who knows what's going to happen with this one? My hope, and I believe yours as well, would be that the bullpen doesn't get too dinged up or overutilized today for the fact that they have to travel west to Sacramento to play the Athletics the next 3 games. And let's just get out of there clean. 2 wins, a series win would be amazing. I would even settle for 1 win, just no sweeps.
Yeah. At this point, we don't want to take a 3-game ding to the standings here.
Most importantly with that, Thursday's an off day, so it's a recovery day, and then the Tigers face the Royals at Kauffman. And the unfortunate news is Jack Flaherty was good Jack Flaherty for 2 2/3 innings today. And with 2 outs, bad Jack Flaherty appeared and allowed 6 runs. I'm snapping, so for those that can or cannot hear it, in the second it takes to snap, in a blink of an eye, Jack Flaherty was in deep trouble, and he is one of the scheduled starters to face the Royals next weekend. We'll see which Flaherty we get.
It seems the theme that we're working with here, and I've said this multiple times, I think you've alluded to it multiple times yourself, on this show is consistency.
Yeah.
We just don't seem to get consistent production or outcomes, at least, from a good 80% of this team. I mean, Dylan Dingler has been about the most consistent thing on this team all season long.
And Tarek Skubal.
Correct. Exactly.
And I know he's not always been consistently good, but at least Tyler Holton has been healthy enough to pitch the innings that have been asked of him. And he's also been put in so many high leverage, terrible situations where he inherits runners and messes from guys like Jack Flaherty
today,
or Casey Mize, or others that are not even up with the big league ballpark or ball team at this point. A question for you, Montero, is he someone that we see back up?
Sort of shocked we haven't seen him.
Yeah, same.
Of late. I mean, they did get so they got Charlie Morton and they got Paddock at the trade deadline, so that might have signaled that Kaider Montero was going to be staying down in the minors due to this. I don't know that I agree with that. I think Kaider Montero is a more effective starter than Paddock. And I almost wonder if he's as effective or maybe a bit better than Flaherty at this point. I mean, Flaherty can have a lights out game. We said in the last show that he, wrote his magnum opus in this last series, and then he gets here and he looks completely broken again today. It's like he has a great game, then he has a terrible game, and a great game and a terrible game. And every time I see this stuff, I'm like, the consistency just isn't there. What will we get in the playoffs? Kaider Montero, not a solution to the consistency, but wondering if developing him in the short term is a better idea.
Consistency, though, I would say, you're not going to get a ton of innings from him, but you're not also going to get a ton of runs given up.
True. I should be referencing this as consistent success. Consistent success would be what we're looking for. You get kind of a consistent middling effort from Kaider Montero, right? Like he doesn't throw a game away, but he doesn't exactly win it for you or anything. I don't know. What I am frustrated with is Flaherty at this point because I can't figure out how a guy who went and had the game he had last week has this game today. That's frustrating. That's just frustrating.
Infuriating. And
if I was a betting man, I would stay away from this guy with a 10-foot pole.
Or do you just play the odds and say that next game he's back on?
Or probably, right? That's when you'll get stuck. But
that's a head scratcher at this point. And I'm probably not putting my money. I'm with you. I'm not putting my money there. I would take Montero in the chaos that would ensue with it more so than I would trust 5 innings of Flaherty at this point.
Okay. So you hope for some AJ Hinch chaos in the postseason rather than
I'm not saying I hope
a Flaherty
for it,
start.
But we're talking Flaherty versus Montero.
Gotcha. I see.
I would take 2 2/3 or
the
3 innings
of Montero.
And then just let Holton, Hannafy, Vest, Finnegan do their magic. I would prefer that to then sending out Flaherty, getting not even 2 innings of bad Jack or 3 innings of bad Jack, and then still having to use the bullpen, but to no positive effect. Meaning you've already dug yourself a hole. You're behind the 8 ball because let's face it, if you go down 6-1, 6 runs to 1 in the playoffs,
sure,
odds aren't in your favor. We have an upcoming series against the Athletics in the lovely town of Sacramento. It is going to be boiling hot. Doing the research, it does not appear that the Athletics have all 3 pitchers set. The Tigers do appear to have their 3 pitchers set. And I just wanted to pick your brain on how you feel about these matchups. Tarek Skubal against, we do have somebody named Ginn. And not Ted Ginn Jr., it's JT Ginn. Yeah, gotta like Scoobs in that, right?
Yes, I gotta like Scoobs in that. JT Ginn's got a pretty high hard hit rate. I think he's probably somebody we can beat up a little bit. I don't think, all of his metrics are pretty bad outside of, he does have a pretty high K rate, so he does get some swing and miss. Ground ball pitcher. Other than that, everything else is, people just barrel this guy up, it looks like. A lot of power, a lot of hard hit balls off of him. Do you feel, I get a little, I know that Skubal's got to pitch when his time's up in the rotation. heading out west. We're going to get a little rest because it's like a 9 o'clock game tomorrow night. Little off schedule. Do you worry about that at all for a pitcher? Or do you think, hey, they're professionals, they deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's a concern. And what I think is super important is regardless of what happens tomorrow night, this is the final West Coast road trip the Tigers have. And given that, yes, it's in Sacramento, I think it's going to be an awful ballpark to play in. It's a bandbox. It plays very small. The last time the Tigers had to do this, it didn't go real well against the Rays. I think the weather's going to be awful. I'm going to go to that in just a minute, but it was almost 110 in Portland today. Sacramento's basically on that same track in terms of how far inland it is. So I'm expecting it to be well over 100 degrees. I think of all the Tigers pitchers, Skubal's the best equipped for it. We have Uncle Charlie in game 2. And then in game 3, we've got a 3-run Casey Mize against Luis Morales. And again, 2 wins would be exceptional. Just win 1. I'm good.
Sure.
And the fact that Kauffman Stadium, which is in the central time zone, it'll also be ungodly hot probably in Kansas City because it usually gets hot there this time of year, is good for the Tigers as well because after that, they play the rest of the season in the Eastern time zone. They're 14-7 for the month of August, 14-8 if they lose today. Things are pointing in the right direction. They've righted the ship from the pre and post All-Star break malaise that they went through. Yeah. All the signs are pointing up. I feel really, really good about this team. I don't like it when key pieces don't play. Hence, today we don't have Torres starting at second base. Keith isn't leading off. Both are getting a day of rest. And the lack of depth that the Tigers have still showcases at times.
Do you think – so I'm a little afraid of the A's series. Yeah. I think we could get beat up a little bit by this team. You have some young ball players like Jacob Wilson, Nick Kurtz. Shea Langeliers has been on fire lately. You want to talk about a catcher who hits. There could be some difficulty here. I think we can get to their pitching, but their hitters aren't going to be a pushover. I worry about the game 2 and 3. Skubal will do what Skubal does, I think, regardless of start time. I know I mentioned it, but I'm expecting him to have a Skubal game because that's what we expect these days. But those second 2 games, I get a little worried. Just having to travel to the West Coast, I always feel like having to travel out there for these Midwest teams and East Coast teams is like going out to the Bermuda Triangle a little bit.
Don't know where they're staying, but there's one real nice Hilton property, I believe, in downtown Sacramento. It's right across from the state capitol, and it's where we used to always stay for business meetings. My story has a point. The only time I've met the Detroit Pistons as a team was in the lobby of this Hilton property, and it was
always hold a special place in your heart.
The go-to-work Pistons. And I will say tall people have never really intimidated me, or I've never been in awe of anybody that's tall. Rasheed Wallace might have the longest legs I've ever seen in a human being, and I was speechless upon meeting him. Just speechless, just dumbstruck. Couldn't say a word. Thank God Chauncey Billups bailed me out and said, I take it you're a big fan.
Thanks, Chauncey. You had a moment in the Sacramento Hilton, it sounds like.
I did.
A moment of fandom.
Just speechless. On that, we will let you, Tiger fans, go. Expect on our sister podcast, once the 53-man roster is announced for the Lions, an update there. We will update you on how the preseason finished out. And let's go Tigers. Let's get this West Coast swing done and get back home, stay in the Eastern time zone, and get to the playoffs healthy.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the Litter Box, a Detroit Tigers podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're Bill and Chet. We'll be back soon with more Tigers talk. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, if you got a minute, leave us a quick review. Till next time, go Tigers.